So there you have it, your parliamentarians. On that day, they sounded like this.
Here it comes!
Sounded like we were having a brawl in Bukum boxing arena, but that was the situation then, at the time, and they came with and apologized and all of that. But I mean, gentlemen, you saw very respectable individuals in there, lawyers and then no. So bring back the baller so we get to see the rubbish. It didn't end there. After they fought and destroyed some of the property, they left behind coffee cups, takeaway packs, sauces and tissue papers, bottled water, empty bottled water, empty water bottles, and some documents and Charlie.
Ghana Sweets.
If you're watching us on Facebook on 3FM 927, which I encourage you to do, you'll see the spoiled microphone procured with state funds. Have we brought conclusion to that matter?
The speaker says they will be surcharged.
When
They finish the investigations.
Was not referred to the police for investigation.
Yes, but the speaker also
and the speaker set up a committee that was
a bipartisan committee
by members of the minority. So until now, the speaker hasn't even made any pronouncement.
It's not fair. It's not fair to the names.
The Bedra committee, we have no idea where it stands now.
Let's hear the Speaker of Parliament.
The following emergency measures are to be taken with dispatch. 1. The circumstances of the absence of a Privileges and Immunity Committee. In that circumstance, a 7-member special committee shall be constituted.
The best in the morning
Under
is on
Orders
92.7
and
Sunrise
20
on 3FM.
4. To conduct a full-scale investigation into the events of yesterday and this morning. The committee shall identify all members involved in the disorder and submit its report with findings and recommendations within 10 days from today. Any member found culpable shall face the appropriate disciplinary actions as prescribed by the Constitution 1992, the Parliament Act of 1965, and the Standing Orders of Parliament. This does not absolve the chairman of the Appointments Committee from performing his duty under Order 268, Rule 3. Pursuant of Section 10 of the Parliamentary Service Act 1993, Act 460, I direct the Clerk to Parliament to cause to be undertaken a full assessment of all damage caused within the committee room and parliamentary presence as a result of the misconduct of the members. Not a single peso of public funds shall be used to repair or replace any damaged property. Instead, members found responsible shall be surcharged for the full cost of repairs and replacements. In pursuance of the provisions of the Constitution 1992 and the Standing Orders of Parliament, I further direct the Clerk to Parliament to formally lodge a complaint with the Ghana Police Service to conduct a full criminal investigation into the matter for appropriate action. Consequently, the following members are suspended
The Best in the Morning is on
from the sittings of Parliament for 2 weeks
3 FM.
from today. 1 and 2, the 2 chief whips, in the persons of Mr. Roxon Nelson Eche, Kwame Dafiamapo, and Mr. Frank Ano Dompre. 3, Mr. Alasan Sulemana Tampuli. And 4, Mr. Jerry Ahmed Shaib. As a matter of urgency, and to set up the Standing Orders Committee to reconsider a revision of the rules for the assessment of nominees for the consideration and approval by the House.
That was Speaker Bagbin there in the House, obviously not too enthused about how his members, or the members of Parliament, so to speak, conducted themselves. Eric Maronek, better my colleague, sat down with the chairman of the committee. Listen to excerpts of that conversation.
I interrupted our discussion and he said, well, they were having a discussion. And
who was having a discussion? Is it the leaders, the majority and then the minority leader along with the speakers? They were the ones having the discussion?
Those that I just mentioned, the minority leader, majority leader, the first deputy speaker, second deputy speaker, and then, and then the clerk. They were having the discussion. So I said, well, the clerk came to unruly, interrupted us, and I think it wasn't right. I was really angry.
Yeah.
I mean, I show it. I will not lie at all. I show it to them. I said, well, I'm older than all of them here. I've been in this house. This is my 5th term. Apparently, this is your 3rd term. The rest, the first deputy speaker, this is your 4th term. I've been here before you. Ayariga, this is your 6th term. I came to meet you in this house. You went and came back. So this is your 5th term. Where I'm more senior in age. I'm older than majority of them. I'm almost 60 years, and so they cannot treat me on a national set like that. And this is
the manner they did.
Yes, and so they cooled. I was asked to cool down. I was just walking away. Then they said, oh, they've not heard from the speaker. So I called speaker on phone. I said, you were not hearing from speaker. And I said, speaker, you are on loudspeaker. I have these people here. They've interrupted what I was doing, and they said, you said I should stop. Then speaker, nobody has spoken to me.
Sunrise
and then
on
I said, you are on speaker. And I mentioned the names of the people who are there. And they say, yes, indeed, we are here. And then Honorable Minority Leader said, Speaker, you know, when I came to you in the office, I was trying to explain to you that since we have decided to apologize, we should get it. The Speaker said, we've not agreed on it. Then the Majority Leader said, well, when you were saying the thing, I left your office. So there was no agreement.
3 FM,
then Speaker said, well, we can go back to the Hansard to find out whether I said that the work of the committee to cease or they should not do the work again. Then Honorable Minority Leader said, well, then we should look at the Hansard. I said, well, Speaker said there was no agreement with you. If the Speaker has said it, then we'll look at the Hansard. Then the Speaker went off. So we agreed that we're going to look at the Hansard. So I left it that way, that I'll meet my members today. Later in the evening, the Speaker called me in the night from where he was.
Right.
And he said, well, he has spoken to the clerk. He has not instructed the clerk. He was clear in his mind that this committee should continue its work. So whatever I'm doing, I should go ahead and do it.
Right.
So I told the Speaker, I'm not going to go by his word. I was interrupted rudely by the clerk. So he called the clerk for the clerk to tell me that I should go ahead with a letter. So he said, well, he'll do that. So quickly, the clerk called me and said he has spoken to the Speaker that we should continue with the work today. That also transpired. I'll be meeting my members today, and then we'll look at it.
What do you think happened? An attempt to stop you from being able to do your work, because these individuals who were gathered and meeting when you went to meet them along with your members, clearly, like you're telling us, had not received any instruction whatsoever from the speaker. What in your own understanding was playing out when they decided to direct the clerk to have you stop the committee works?
Well, that would depend on them, because they have not given me the work. The speaker who has given me work to investigate. So if they have anything at all, they should direct their thoughts to the speaker. So I'm not in their mind to know why they wanted us to stop. If they really have any reason why they wanted to stop, they could have even engaged me. They didn't engage me. They want to use the back door.
If I felt that was seeking to undermine you in some way, of course.
Not only undermining me, they were undermining the speaker. What was I going to tell the speaker when the speaker requested for a report? Would I tell him that you have instructed, the speaker has not instructed anybody? What was I going to tell the person? So my integrity was on the line. Not only my integrity, the integrity of this house. I mean, you saw clearly what happened. It's out there. Everybody has seen the videos. So what are we running away from? People went and members of parliament, honorable members of parliament, went under tables, breaking tables. Don't we have manners?
On 3FM.
Why are we called honorable members? If we don't have manners, we don't have integrity, then we should not be in this house. And I think it's time for us to sanctify this house and bring sanctity and order to this house. It's becoming too many in recent times. Why? Are we not called? Are we not elected by the people? Can't we be responsible in our action and acts?
What would you say when people want to make the argument that conclave which had the clerk come to you to ask you to stop the work was an attempt to prevent all of this and this sanctification from proceeding? Because obviously you had the buy-in of the leader of your side as well.
No, at all. In fact, the leader of my side said, even when the speaker was making it, he has not heard the speaker saying that we should stop our work. So clearly, and also I said that the leader said when Honorable Abenyumaki was talking to the speaker, he left the speaker, so he doesn't even know. So he has not heard from the speaker since then. So clearly, there was nothing, there was no, in fact, if there were some agreement, he would have called me, not the clerk. If there was an agreement, majority leader, would have called me, not the clerk. Are you getting my point? Yeah. So clearly, there was no agreement amongst them.
So this solely had to do with just the minority leader orchestrating this. Is that the feel you get? Because if the majority leader was not aware, under what authority is a question that will be asked. Did the clerk march to a committee and ask them to stop and even direct to withdraw the staff?
After this interview, you should talk to the clerk to find out under whose authority did he do that?
Best in the morning.
Because clearly, if a whole majority leader was subjected to our interrogation yesterday, majority leader was there.
Yes.
He was the first person we interviewed or we interrogated. If the leader of the house would subject himself, if he knew that there was a program like this or an agreement, he wouldn't have come. He would have just said, Emmanuel, stop. And let's find a way of telling the public. But he came and gave his testimony. So why would anybody, apart from the majority leader and the speaker, why would anybody, leader of government business, who subject himself, who are you then to say that you will not come? Or to use whatever means to stop us from doing what?
The clerk has not sought to explain to you why he did what he did yesterday?
No, he hasn't explained. He hasn't explained.
Would you want an explanation in any way or form as to what informed his choice of asking to even withdraw support staff?
I've left that to his judgment. I've left that to the judgment of Ghanaians. I believe in him as a clerk. He was doing it maybe with a good intention, as I know him. But this one, I will not take it. I'm not a man that backs out. What is right should be right, and what is wrong, we should all say it is wrong. I mean, where we have gotten to as a parliament, the whole world is looking up to us. The whole of Africa is looking up to Ghanaian parliament. We should not degenerate this parliament to this kind of things.
That was the chairman of the ad hoc committee set to go into issues surrounding the chaos and the brawl around the vetting table in Parliament. Emmanuel Bejira is his name, is the MP. Some good people in the Republic of Ghana. Stephen Oze is joining us. He's a political marketing strategist. Good morning, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, hello, good morning, Johnny.
Great, good to have you.
Yeah, good to have you too, and have a good morning.
I'm sure you've been following the happenings in Parliament regarding the ad hoc committee, the vetting and matters arising. Now, a lot of water has passed under the bridge. You heard the chairman obviously not too happy about situations. He says he won't back down. The minority seems to be putting a spanner in his works. This impasse, how do we fix it?
Yeah, right. Thank you so much, Johnny, once again. And I want to send a good morning to our good people of Ghana and our listeners, and the people in my university, my vice chancellor, and the staff of UW. And yes, I am seriously following these sessions, and as in one of the words of the committee chairperson, yes, it appears that Parliament cannot be put in that manner. You see, Ghanaians have a lot of confidence in Parliament, and Parliament are supposed to be occupied by lawmakers. They are supposed to be the ones making the law. So if some of these behaviors are being showcased, some of these tendencies are being showcased, it is a little bit worrying. And I like what the Speaker of Parliament said, that it's disgraceful and it's regrettable. Actually, it undermines the integrity of Parliament.
That's right.
And for me, I'm just eager to just know the recommendations of the committee. But it's very important that the Honourable Speaker has mentioned that all those who partook in those issues at Parliament, when at the end of the day they ended up destroying certain things within that chamber, that is the vetting chamber, are going to be surcharged. It is important. Ghanaians will want to see some of these things. I don't think these things shouldn't happen again. It shouldn't. Because about 4 years ago, we had someone running with a ballot box from Parliament.
Right.
These things we usually see these things in at police stations and all that. And this is happening again. Actually, when I saw it, I was like, no. Johnny, last 2 weeks or so, I mentioned that we are not actually being careful with some of these things, especially this vetting committee. So for me, I support the call for them to be actually reappointed. I really support it. Because Ghanaians, that is the only thing, the only place Ghanaians should actually see some kind of seriousness and some kind of, it should be a sacred place.
I see. Yeah. Regardless of the divergent views that they had at the vetting table, which occasioned the brawl, subsequently the ministers have been, all of them have been approved, and all of them have been giving their authority to go and work at the various ministries. What does that also tell you of the executive?
Yeah, so you see, we are dealing with people with the highest numbers in Parliament. But you see, this vetting committee, actually, if it hadn't gone to this tangent, the tangent where it appears people want to pay people back based on certain comments they have made, the vetting committee is actually supposed to look at the competencies of these people. It is supposed to actually tell Ghanaians that this person is very competent, very qualified and experienced in this area, and for that matter, the citizens should be okay and should have the hope that these people are going to actually lead them and help solve whatever problems we have in our systems. But when, unfortunately, it is diverted, the actual channel or the actual responsibility or the role of the vetting committee, I would say diverted, because some of the questioning actually do not actually find out the experiences and then the competencies of people. When it happens like that, it's questionable. Yes, the executive has the power, but Johnny Hughes, you and I know that at the end of the day, majority in Parliament are the ones who are going to approve of this.
Right.
So for me, moving forward, there is supposed to be a serious reforms where people must know how to conduct themselves as parliamentarians, as members of a vetting committee. I think in my last discussions, I mentioned that there should be some form of training sessions and all that. These things are very important. It's unfortunate we are finding ourselves here, but these things must be looked at because Ghanaians have hope. Ghanaians should have hope in all the decisions made by the executive body.
Now, today, deputy ministers designate will be before the appointments committee, of course, to tell them their competencies for them to be vetted so that they can also go and start their work. Should we expect anything different from what you have said to us already?
Yeah, so Johnny, I think that I expect that we are going to have a new vetting committee. If I say new, I'm not talking about the personnel because the reselection has not been done yet. But we are expecting that based on the fact that there's some of these behaviors, I'm expecting that they should actually go by their rules and devoid of actually wanting to attack people's persons and all that. They should just go by their work, look at the competencies, the qualifications, how suitable someone is based on that is the appointment or the nominations by the president, and then we'll find our way. If they are going by their work, I'm not sure we'll be having one person sitting for 5 hours and answering certain questions. I'm not sure. So I expect that the process should be very decorous, the process should be very professional this time around, because at least the Honorable Speaker has laid certain rules down, making them understand that if you continue like this, then it implies that you are actually not telling Ghanaians that you want to represent them. And in one of his words, he says that like he could not, and members could not exercise some kind of scintilla in what they do. When it happens like that, it is a little bit worrying. And as I said, as leaders, as parliamentarians, they are supposed to be mindful of their environment, and they should remember that they are on national television. So that should actually guide them in their communications, in their behaviors, in their questioning. It is important so that they will continue to get or rebuild the integrity that Ghanaians actually expect from the parliament. So we really expect them to actually put in a different show, a more professional show.
How much time is enough? Because you say 5 hours is an overkill. Should we follow your 2.5 hours or 3 hours for exams in school?
So Johnny, so I can't sit here and actually say it should take 1 hour, 2 hours, or even 5 minutes. But you see,
because somebody actually spent less than 2 minutes before the committee.
Exactly where I was going to. So you see, let's just be very, very sincere. You know, before the vetting actually starts, I have joined certain vetting committees and all that, but before it starts, at least the committee sits and decides that, okay, aside the general questions that may come up based on the responses from the nominee, some of the members they actually agreed, okay, you are going to ask questions based on the qualifications of the individual, based on the CV, based on the experiences and all that. So if that is done, as I said, at least you'll be reasonably 1 hour, 2 hours, you'll be fine. But the point is that, you see, we should also be looking at the health conditions of these vetting committee members as well. In as much as we want to sit for several hours wanting to be sure of the experiences of these people, let us actually have a particular time frame where within, let's say, the committee can decide in about 2 hours' time, we should be able to finish with one nominee or maximum 3 hours. They should have a cap for themselves. Otherwise, you may sit for 10 hours, 20 hours. If you want to sit for 10 hours, who end up suffering? You'll be hurting your own health. And these things are also very important. These are things that we need to look at. So for me, we can't say 3 hours, 4 hours, but they can put a cap for themselves as vetting committee members.
It does appear in some instances that the nominees that appear are favorites of the committee, so they come and they take hugs and they go away. And Ghanaians are expecting that the proper scrutiny be done so that we are sure or assured that the people being sent to the various ministries or to serve as either substantive ministers or deputies are well qualified for the job. Is that the view you also hold?
No, Johnny, I don't hold that view. You know, yes, you may be close friends with any of the parliamentarians from both parties and all that, but the fact that you've been appointed as a member of a vetting committee, you are expected to be a professional. regardless of your relationship with that individual. Even if the person happens to be your brother, even if the person happens to be your wife, you are supposed to be professional. So you should be able to draw the thin line between friendship or relationships and being professional about your job as a vetting committee member. So for that one, I've been in the vetting committee before, certain vetting committees for National Grass Act, and when you are done, people come in and back, we are friends. And I'm happy there was a comment some years back that somebody said, but Ato, I'm your friend. Oh, we are friends. You know, you have to be very, very professional with your work, regardless of your relationship. You should be able to put relationship aside. That is what professionals do when it comes to the delivery of their work. Now, so that is what I expect them to do.
These vetters are usually telecast for the entire nation to watch and to make their own assessment.
Yes.
The public so far, if you ask, and Musa Danko and his team have conducted some research into it. Some have divergent views, which is the natural thing, but you find a lot more people saying they aren't satisfied, and sometimes they even think that the chairman of the vetting committee is allowing himself to be gazumped by the minority leader, who is not supposed to be a vice chair, but always goes ahead to make the claim that, they are co-chairs of the committee. How do we cure this?
Yes, so as the chairperson of the committee, he is supposed to actually know his responsibilities. I come there again. So if you have given a member of the committee, let's say 2 minutes to make a delivery, the moment that person is done with that delivery, you take that, you take the next questions from the next person. You don't allow anybody to take center stage. There are reasons why we make people chairs for specific committees and specific places. Yes, Ghanaians are not satisfied because, as I said, and we are talking about 5 hours, 6 hours, and maybe one person actually more or less running the entire show. Ghanaians want to know that the Parliament or the vetting committee are doing this work to help them, to give them the right people to lead them. So if at the end of the day it can be hijacked by an individual or 2 persons, then that is not the way to go. So for me, the chairperson should show, or the chair should know that he is the one in charge. And if you are given 2 minutes to do your delivery or 5 minutes to do your delivery, you do just that. I'm not sure in Parliament, when the Speaker of Parliament gives you, let's say, 5 minutes to make your delivery, and you go beyond that, and the Speaker of Parliament tells you to actually get your case finished and then let me listen to another person, you say no. And I'm happy you said Ghanaians are actually, this is being sent out there. Everyone is it's a live program. So people must remember that their environment is very important. And I mentioned this some days ago when we had the Castlehead issue.
Right.
I mentioned that people should be conscious of the environment, especially MPs should be conscious of the environment and get to know the kind of delivery they make, the kind of communication they make, because at the end of the day, that is what Ghanaians and viewers are going to use to judge you. So those Ghanaians who are looking at it and are very much concerned about the fact that they are complaining about the chair not being able to take charge. Well, maybe I wouldn't say not being able to take charge, but the chair should be able to know that if a minute or 2 is given to an individual who may even happen to be a co-chair or a vice chair or even a member of the committee, that person must stick to that. And as I said, if they get to know before the vetting starts, all these rules of engagement must be set out amongst themselves.
Okay.
So if they are set out among themselves and someone tries to go beyond that, then the chair has every right to put that person into order.
I thank you very much, Stephen Osei-Chiao. He's a political and strategic communications expert. We're grateful that you spent your morning with us. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you so much, Johnny. Have a good day.
Yes, sir. You too.
You convince me to trust you as a Minister of State, considering what happened at Labaoleshi.
But Ato, you are my friend.
It doesn't matter.
And today you don't trust me.
I'm asking a question.
Today you don't trust me.
No, I'm asking a question that, can you convince me?
You should be testifying on my credibility.
No, it's not about credibility. I said convince me. We are here for the people of Ghana. Okay, so we have to ask the questions that are needed. And I'm asking the questions.
I have to. Please, your mic's off. Now I have to come in.
Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I have to come in. Now I
convince me to trust you as a Minister of State, considering what happened at Labaoleshi?
Sunrise on 3FM.
You are my friend.
The best in the morning.
And today you don't trust me.
I'm asking a question.
Today you don't trust me.
No, I'm asking a question that can you convince me?
You should be testifying on my credibility.
No, it's not about credibility. I said convince me. We are here for the people of Ghana. Okay, so we have to ask the questions that are needed. And I'm asking the questions.
I have to. Please, your mic's off. Hey.
Watch out!
Of ministers, deputy ministers designated will be happening live and colored on your television on TV3 Ghana, on 3FM 927 and across our media platforms on Media General. I encourage you to join us and get the latest updates on what's going to happen in Parliament. We'll get to meet the candidates or the ministers designated in a bit, and then we'll have a conversation with two gentlemen who have joined me in studio. Dr. Bernard Tutuboahin, the political strategist, and Hamza Suhini Shaibu, private legal practitioner. He's a member of the NDC's communications team. We'll get into that conversation in a bit. But first, we'll take a quick break. When we return from this break, we're on.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact act triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
3FM 92.7, Urban Lifestyle Radio Station.
It's the battle of the teams in a 3FM 60-day Fit Start Challenge. Which team will come up tops? Will it be Team Comfort or Team Helen? Will age and tact act triumph? Or will youth and energy win? Call or WhatsApp on these numbers: 0532 300 927 or 0532 200 927. Now, to join Team Comfort or Team Helen and enjoy holistic wellness coaching, specialized diet plans, and cooking tutorials, thrilling exercises, challenges, and activities, plus many exciting rewards. 3FM Fit Start is sponsored by Daffy's Health and Beauty, Bill's Microfinance and UGL Premier, and supported by Blue Skies and the Ghana Medical Association. 3FM Fit Start, your health, your journey, your victory.
Show to the world that when the African is given a chance, he can show to the world that he's somebody. We are waiting. We shall no more go back to sleep anymore. We are going to demonstrate to the world, to the other nations, young as we are, that we are prepared to lay our own foundation. As I said in the assembly just minutes ago, I made it point that we are going to say that we create our own 10-personality identity. It's the only way in which we can show the world that we are ready for our own battle. But today...
And today in history, 1966, on the 24th of February, Ghana's first president, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, was overthrown. That was his voice there. Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin is joining us. He's a political marketing strategist. Lawyer Hamza Shaibu Suhini is also a member of the NDC's communications team. He's also a private legal practitioner. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Good morning. Good morning. How are we doing?
Good morning. Not as much as we would have loved, I'm sure.
I don't understand.
All the same, we thank God.
I don't understand you, Hamza.
Don't you want to be doing better than you are doing now?
Oh, of course, but you have life.
Absolutely. That's why I'm saying that not as much as we would have thought, we would have expected at least. But we thank God for what we have now.
I see. Doc, how about you?
Yeah, I always count on the grace and mercies of God.
Great. Let's begin the conversation from Parliament. I mean, have you been satisfied with how the vetting committee has conducted its business so far?
All right, so good morning to listeners. With regards to the vetting committee, as it has always been the norm, for me, I think that we are moving there. We are only hoping that one day we'll get there. And as it stands now, for me, we are not there yet. I am actually expecting, to be hearing, certain questions that actually reveals, the capabilities and competencies, of nominees. And so if I hear, straight endorsements that for you are okay, we know you can deliver, it sends to me signals that, we are actually putting national interest, aside. We tend to be gambling with it. In electing leaders, which is, of course, one of my research interests, I believe that Ghanaians are looking, or they are expecting something better from our leaders. With my paper on vice presidential candidates, I saw so many things that has pushed me into the leadership, governance and leadership, research. And what I am seeing is that, we cannot be asking questions which does not actually reveal, the competence of people, the capabilities of people, the ability to solve, national problems, the abilities to innovate, and the abilities to show leadership in their designations. And so I am actually expecting that, certain questions, no matter your political affiliation, the questions that you ask, if you are an NDC person and you are asking a question, those questions is not, I'm not saying that it should expose the weaknesses of people, but if that happens, so what? I mean, questions that would actually ensure that the people that your party selects and make them to lead, the president's agenda, are questions that will help the president's cause. If you are an MPP person and you are asking questions, and it is not about politics of exposure, then I expect that you ask questions, that will be of a national benefit, and that will serve the national interest. And so I think that I've not seen that yet. And even to the extent that certain questions tends to be too personal, because you have some scores to settle with certain nominees. You ask certain questions that tend to be personal. In fact, I think that the Ghanaian is asking so many questions about what actually happened, during some of these processes. And as I said earlier, we are moving. We are going. Heaven knows where we are going.
Should we not chart the path we want to and get a destination? We should have a plan. We can't continue just going, because the Fourth Republic is the most enduring of all the republics. But it does appear that we keep achieving less.
Yeah, so you see, Johnny, that is it. I have always questioned, the abilities and capabilities of our own parliamentarians. All right. I'm not saying that they are not capable. But you see, when sometimes you listen to some of these questions, then of course you are asking that as a teacher in the classroom, examining your students, if you set a bad question, you get bad answers.
That's right.
All right. So if parliamentarians, based on the knowledge that they have, based on the experiences that they have, the trainings and all that, if you are asking bad questions, what do you expect? You see, but Johnny, even if we set a national course, a national direction,
right,
whatever, and the people who are supposed to be the vehicle that will carry us to that destination are not.
They should be of a certain quality.
You understand?
I get you. Let me draw in Hamza. Hamza, let me ask you perhaps the same question. You see a lot of lawyers on the table, and you lawyers do a lot of cross-examination and very hard-hitting questions. Do you think the lawyers around the table are dishing it out the way they have to dish it out?
Absolutely not, to be honest with you. And I think that what happens there is more political than legal or anything close to the sectorial nominees before them. So I think that the starting point is to see it as a political contest, which is quite disappointing because with the experience that we've had as a republic, one would have hoped that platforms like that would be used to actually ascertain the capabilities of those that have been appointed to lead.
Agreed.
So, but unfortunately, that is not what is happening there. And for me, that is my disappointment. And it is difficult to blame the majority in that regard, because if you notice, most of the questions that the majority side of that committee asks basically borders on performance or capabilities of these appointees in those respective ministers. But anytime the minority leader takes the wheels, clearly would swim straight into the political arena, where it is being used as a platform to set, if you like, maybe according to their version of records that preceded the elections. And I have always said that I think that the speaker needs to take an interesting position when it comes to vetting of nominees. Is it not possible for the speaker to, for instance, direct that whatever happens during elections should be left off when it comes to the vetting of nominees?
Even if it relates to the office that the person is going to hold?
Maybe some of these questions, based on the discretion of the chairman, may be allowed, depending on how relevant that the chairman feels that those questions are. But you agree with me that largely what happens has nothing to do with substance of what the person is coming to do. It is simply an opportunity to correct in their version of what they call the political wrongs that their nominees committed against them. And that is why it's difficult to say that the vetting committee is living up to expectation. So if you ask me a question, is it living up to expectation? It's difficult for me to say yes, because I have my reservations.
Right.
There are so many opportunities that it presents for us as a republic to take advantage of, and ensure that we get people to man various departments or ministries that, in fact, they are qualified to man. Let me give you a classical example. Today, the environmental sector, in terms of energy transition,
that's right,
is a milk cow for most African countries, because the Western world is interested in that particular space. The question is, how are we positioning ourselves in this country to take advantage of that? Even the nominees that have been nominated by the president, for instance, the minister in charge of energy and climate transition, when you monitor the vetting, did you see any questions related to that sector of energy transition and climate governance? Absolutely not. But the Western world is looking at us.
Right.
We have more than in excess of about 13 billion that we can bring into this country just because of energy transition and climate governance alone. But you have our MPs seated there. They have little understanding of that space. They simply do not appreciate how we can take advantage by their questions alone. Because the international community is monitoring. The World Bank is monitoring. The IMF is monitoring. Our development partners are watching.
So they want to know who you are bringing.
They want to know
if the person is competent enough to hold the person that they want to use for that purpose.
So at the end of the day, they don't get to hear those questions that matter. It affects your funding. And that is why I've always said that it is not the foreign minister and the president who must act as ambassadors of your country. The number one ambassadors of any democratic dispensation is actually our members of parliament. Because they must conduct themselves in ways that can bring confidence in our governance system. Because most of our foreign partners, our multilateral organizations, are interested in issues of accountability, policing of the public purse. And there's no better platform to effectively coordinate that than parliament. But if they see you on TV, and all what you engage in is turning tables around, fighting about needless political battles, when you should be using that platform to market and convince people to bring funds into your country, then clearly you are not worth your salt.
Now, today we'll have vetting for deputy ministers designate. What should they be doing differently, Doc?
You see, I think myself and lawyer, we are saying the same thing. All right. So,
which means that generally then Ghanaians will be saying the same thing.
Yes. You see,
and that's quite disappointing then. Yes. If the totality, or if you like a large majority of the population think that you are not living up to the expectations, then there's a problem.
Yes. So, if it is anything, you see, I like the idea of a new direction that President Mahama is trying to set, trying to bring in some, individuals who are not in and out politicians.
Right.
And Johnny, you remember some time ago on your platform, I talked about professionalism.
That's right.
Bringing in professionals.
That's right.
You see, the example that lawyer cited with regards to the climate change, content. You see, what the international community is actually expecting, the individual that you have, nominated to lead that cause.
Right.
When that person does not have that kind of knowledge, understanding, to be able to fit into the global discourse, all right, what kind of argument is the person going to churn out?
But how would we know, or how would the international community know, as lawyer said, if you are not asking the question? So then that brings me to my next question. Is it too difficult for the members of parliament around the vetting table to go to the expert to say, Chief, Madam, today we are going to vet Broja Jemfi, who's deputy minister designate for defense. What could we possibly ask him, looking at the terrain? You find security expert, Professor Vladimir Entry-Danso, and then you say, give me 2 or 3 suggested questions. I mean, you go around and then you can sit down as an educated person and how difficult is that?
You're talking about something that should be done differently.
Yes.
So probably in the long term, right? Now, you see, if you are bringing a minister of defense who himself has no experience in defense, all right, does not have any military training, hasn't joined any of the security agencies, has never gone to war before, doesn't really understand the whole concept of security, all right, then, of course, who nominated him? That is where the problem starts.
The politicians make the argument that you don't necessarily need somebody within the field.
I don't belong to that.
Because they have a certain architecture led by a chief director who knows the field. They have technocrats, advisors, and all of that.
I don't believe in that argument. Because you are the face, like you rightly said, the ambassador. All right. So you are the first point of call. So if you are going for, let's say, a global meeting on defense, and people are using terminologies, they are using certain phrases which you don't understand, it means that you must wait, and then when you go to your hotel room, that is where the technocrat is going to explain to you.
That will be too late.
That will be too late. Assuming you mount a platform to speak, and there are certain keywords that you have wrongly used based on the advice of a technocrat, how do you know? You understand?
I get it.
When it comes to strategic decisions on defense that you have to take, and in the absence of your technocrat, what do you do? So that is where it is. All right. So my point is that I can't say that every appointee should be an expert, but there should be sensitive areas where you require expertise. Now, Johnny, you see, in the long term, as we are moving as a country, in our democratic dispensation, probably, when we are having such vetting, for us to know the competencies, the strengths, and the learning capabilities of some of these nominees, we probably may want to bring in a professional, to sit and also have his turn of questioning.
Right.
So that let's assume that Broje Jemfi's case, for instance, there is a military expert in there. When all questions have been asked, then he will come in to ask certain technical questions, to ask it where understand whether this person is ready for the job or not. All right.
So you are proposing that we have a technical person around the table.
Around the table.
But somebody made the argument the other time, and quickly, so I go to back to council. Somebody made the argument the other time that, look, perhaps our best finance minister ever in this country, in the Fourth Republic, the late Professor Kwesi Botwe.
Yeah.
He's not a finance person.
He's an economist, right?
No, he's a lawyer with the instinct of economics and all of that. But I mean, he's not the big boy.
I know he has background in economics.
Yes, but somebody made the argument that, look, his specialty was the law. But look at how he managed the economy and steered it.
He actually followed an interest in law.
Right.
All right. He followed interest in law. But he had a background in economics.
Right.
Economics and finance move together. So, and per the experiences that he had, he understood us at that time, the economic situation globally, and the Ghanaian terrain. And so he also made use of the technocrats there to complement the effort that he was also putting up. You see, so that was one of the things that also made him. And you see, his personality, as Kwesi Botwe could stand Rollins and explain things to him. He could stand and make his points and work with his ideas and decisions. So these are some of the things that you may want to find out during vetting. The person who is there, even if you are not an expert, are you a man of yourself?
Okay. Council, what do you say on this one? Do you subscribe to the thought that
I don't.
A lawyer should go? A lawyer to go to the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General, a finance person to the Finance Ministry,
unfortunately,
an architect or what do you get? An engineer to the road. What do you say?
Then we must as well be looking for a president who is all-rounded when it comes to.
He should have.
But that's just.
He should have 15 degrees.
Yeah. That's just an aside. But you see, I can understand the frustration of Doc and the reason why he's making such an observation. Sound, especially when it comes to some specific sectors of our economy. I also believe that when it comes to political appointments, especially to occupy the role of ministerial to do ministerial functions, I do not think that you really need to be hiring people who are specially trained in certain specific areas, largely because their role is policy direction and to provide leadership in line with the president's vision.
Right.
So what needs to be done, what you can probably recommend is that they should find amicable ways of working with the civil servants who are already up there. It is not for nothing that our laws make provisions for the role of the chief director to assist the minister, especially when it comes to the policy implementation.
Right.
So what you are there to do, you maybe some basic knowledge of your sector, fair enough. But an example you gave, the military. You really do not need a retired military officer to be defense minister or deputy defense minister because the laws are clearly spelled out. So even a lawyer who understands the acts regulating the sector and the rules and regulations that regulate the sector can equally be a defense minister.
One of our best defense ministers, for example, Dr. Kwame Adokufo.
Yeah. He was a medical doctor, just like we have now, Dr. Omane Boama.
Right.
So,
but we have not seen Omane Boama.
Of course, we have not, but
in that space.
Right. That's true. But the point I am simply making is that I can understand that concern, but in truth, I don't think that it is something we should be really worried about, especially when their rules are basically to drive policy direction of the ruling government. What needs to be done is that if they have some appreciable knowledge of how that sector functions, fair enough, but they must not necessarily be expert of the sector. Undoubtedly, there are some areas that you cannot help but to have an expert man. A place like the Minister of Finance. I've always argued that if you go and hire a lawyer to be Minister of Finance, he may not even understand what a closing balance in a book is, let alone how to put figures together to avoid inflation and, if you like, depreciation of your city. So clearly, you need someone with training in that sector to be Minister of Finance. Again, when it comes to a sensitive area like national security, undoubtedly, you need someone with some level of appreciable knowledge.
Why should we vary the standards for different ministries? Because education is critical, agric is critical, energy is critical, the economy is critical, and security is critical.
You see,
why should we vary it?
We are not varying it. All what I'm trying to tell you is that some of them are there. For instance, a lawyer can be an education minister. Because when it comes to the educational sector, in truth, sometimes all you need is to put the experts together. Based on your policy direction. So, for instance, if President Mahama says that he's going to review free senior high school, you don't need an education minister who has taught or is a teacher for years. Even a lawyer, education minister, should be able to put up a committee like Honorable Haruna Idusi has done to start the processes that will lead up to the review through the national consultations that are ongoing. So all what I'm saying is that some of the sectors are there. Yes, you think that education is a special field and requires an educationist to be education minister. I disagree. Because sometimes in order for you to have innovation in a sector, you need to bring in people from different areas. Like we saw under Dr. Kwame Adokufo, when he moved from health to defense. Right. He's been celebrated up to date. In terms of the interventions that he brought. And so that is why I'm saying that we should not tie ourselves down by making it difficult for this country to progress. My problem with this country probably has to do with the so-called experts.
What?
That, in truth, the inertia associated with the activities, they don't move. If you have dealt with them, unfortunately, excuse my language, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. They don't move. And when it comes to political decisions, you need some level of energy. You need some level of forthrightness to be forthright. You need some level of some appetite for change.
Political gra-gra, you mean?
Absolutely, but they lack it. Most of them don't know it. That versatility is not there.
The reason is between knowledge and practice.
Okay.
You see, so
is there a gap?
Yeah, in fact, there's a serious gap. Now, my exposure in politics is different from when I was not exposed to politics.
Okay.
All right. So
when you are minding your business in a lecture hall, researching and doing your things,
that one is different.
And you are not coming on TV and radio to mind, it was different.
Actually, you wouldn't understand the depth of politics. So when you are given that nod, it becomes problematic. You now must switch, and in switching, you are careful. So that's why in academia we talk of calculated risk.
Okay.
All right. But you see, I understand. You see, both of us will probably have our disagreements. But for me, I believe in this, that in as much as you wouldn't need an expert, a professional, to manage a ministry. You also may want to understand this, that you see, the world now is moving towards a certain direction where knowledge counts. So if Adukufo had succeeded based on the notion that he wasn't an expert, is it the same
within that field?
Yes.
But he's an expert in the medical field.
Yes. Is it the same today? Now, again, you see, leadership is not just about expertise alone. You have a combination of traits coming together to make you a leader. You may not be an expert in the area though, but your personality, your relationship, your network wealth, probably can put you in that direction where, you get people within the field working for you so that it will cover your weaknesses. And I believe that Adukufo showed that kind of traits. He didn't actually demonstrate that kind of expertise himself, but the people that were within his networks, who he was working with, the military guys, how he associated with them, and the kind of bond that existed with them, made them to deliver, cover him up, so that we didn't see. What if you get somebody who will go and then lord over them? What will happen? Probably it will expose him, or they will even be sleeping, and then it will expose this minister, to the highest level. All right. So my point is that apart from even considering that issue of expertise, certain traits, certain, beliefs, we need to be sure that the vetting committee is able to bring some of these things out. Your tolerance level, you understand? So that when you are overwhelmed by certain, incidents, you wouldn't just come out and be talking anyhow, or putting certain information there which may not be palatable to the good people of this country.
You earlier spoke about... sorry,
Doc, you see, the point we are making here boils down to leadership. So you are narrowing down
the best in the morning
on the fact that it basically has little to do with expertise when it comes to the manning of these institutions.
I said it's a combination.
Exactly, but you see, the overriding factor is leadership.
Right.
Even if you are an expert and you lack the necessary leadership skills to run an institution or an organization, you will still be a failure.
That is it.
And that is why it is not for nothing that our constitution is created the way that, designed the way it has been designed. Because they understand that there are certain places where we need experts, and there are certain places where you need people to provide leadership, and they may not necessarily be experts in the field. That is why we have this layer of civil servants, public servants, and to some extent the departmental heads and ministers of state. And when it comes to the role of ministers of state, it is not for nothing again that our constitutional architecture makes provision for cabinet. So even if you have a minister who is lacking in terms of a specific area, but has the requisite leadership experience to drive change, that shortfall can be made up for in cabinet, because at cabinet meetings, experts are brought, specific areas, even brief cabinet, for decisions to be taken holistically. So when you see a minister seated as Minister of Defense, it doesn't mean that the ministry will be driven by the minister's own thinking, but it's going to be collective. Cabinet decisions will be taken to drive the ministry. The minister is assisted by experienced experts who have manned the ministry as civil servants for years. He's better placed to rely on that knowledge or experience to be able to fit into the government's policy direction at the end of the day. So that is why I'm saying that we should not belabor the point by saying that, look, we need experts to man certain areas, not necessarily to be in charge of the ministries. I don't agree with that. Maybe specific areas, I agree, like I indicated, Ministry of Finance. But at the end of the day, Johnny, the issue...
We're looking for results.
We are looking for results. So if the person can give us results, and it's not even an educationist and it's Minister of Education, why not? When Haruna Iddrisu became Minister for Communications, that was when interoperability, what's the name?
Interoperability.
I always get the word wrong.
Interoperability.
Yeah. That was when it started under him. He had no degree or experience in communications. But he excelled in that ministry.
So you see,
it is because of the leadership
we're talking about. Yes. So Haruna, when he was even appointed Minister for Education, within UTAG, we all celebrated. Why? Because of his personality.
Okay.
You understand? And we believe that Haruna is an achiever. And he's someone who is committed again to the national cause. And every ministry that he has been to, he has excelled.
So that's why you are happy?
Yes. It's not because of his knowledge in education.
Within the field.
But you see, he has...
Then you agree with council that, it takes leadership.
Yes, I agree. So my initial point was about leadership. All right. And the fact that a leader should be able to channel visions that others would work for. All right. I agree with him. And
like General Kutwe Champong, the man who fed all of us without making plenty,
and to me,
waves about it.
And to me, a Champong is the best president Ghana has ever gotten. We have over-celebrated in Nkrumah. All right. No,
let's not go there, Doc.
Yes.
But this is where did well, but definitely no literature can compare them.
Yes. So this is what I have seen.
Okay.
That in my analysis of presidents, I realized that a Champong did not inherit anything.
Okay.
He came and even called the bluff of our donor agencies and counties.
If every president did that.
Yentia.
You remember? Yes, I remember Yentia.
You remember Yentia?
Yes.
And the fact that
Apollo 502 and all of that.
You understand? All these problems coming during that time. What did you do? Operation Feed Yourself. Okay.
And then Operation Feed the Industry.
And the yellow kiosk concept to make food accessible, And as at that time, our inflation was one of the highest in the world. What did he do? Even as at the time he was leaving, we have moved from that high inflation to a lower inflation.
We digress. Let me ask you a question. You made an earlier point about a minister being his or her own self.
Exactly.
If you look at President Mohammed's cabinet and the list of persons he's naming as deputy ministers, they're very youthful.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, can the youth deliver? Looking at where we are now and the burden President Mahama is carrying on his head, can the youth deliver?
You see, it's yes and no. Because if the youth cannot deliver, then we have also seen that the old age can equally not deliver. All right.
The old age have failed us.
They have failed.
Yeah, we have seen that.
And we have also seen that some youth, who have been appointed have all equally failed.
Right.
All right. I see that the youth will need some kind of experiences and guidance, to get in there. So if the president is now appointing, deputy ministers who are young, relatively young, then probably what he's trying to suggest is that get in there and go and learn and behave as apprentice and make sure that by the time you are probably leaving, you might have gained a lot of experiences, knowledge, and expertise that even if in the future I am by myself appointing you into a full minister or any other president is appointing you into a full minister, you might probably be able to use your experiences, to influence, the economy. And so I think it is good he does that. I know that the late President J.E. Mills did a similar thing when he brought a lot of young guys as deputy ministers and directors.
That's right.
And as at the time, he died and President Mahama came. Most of them were quite matured, to lead. And these are the people that, actually held the front for the NDC as a party, even up to now. And I think that it is a good thing to, give the youth that kind of chance so that I know that people have developed careers in politics, and once the person has shown interest to develop his career in politics, the person should be given that kind of opportunity, to be trained. And what is left now is that, you see, the youth should be ready to learn.
Okay.
Because politics comes with power.
Right.
And whilst you have power and you don't exercise the power rightly, if you are not careful, you are going to destroy your own political career.
Council, you have a closing thought. Can the youth deliver?
Oh, they can.
Look at President Mohammed, why he's choosing young people, and everybody's asking questions. Why is he choosing young people?
But
don't you have old people in your party?
We do. I think that following his politics, clearly, this is a president who is unwilling to feature people who are in their 60s or over 60 years. Because clearly, even our laws makes it quite clear that at 60 you should consider retirement, unless, of course, you are given a contract of 2 years.
Right.
And this is something we've been complaining about over the years. So
let
if you
the
have
retirees go and let the young go.
If a new president with a promise to reset Ghana comes and he's living up to expectation in terms of empowering the youth, he should be commended, because clearly many of his star appointees, even when he was first elected president in 2013, were young people, the likes of now Minister of Government Communications, Felix Ofosu-Kwakye, doing wonderfully well. Right. I'm sure you would agree with us. Then Honorable Okudzeto Ablakwa, Sam George, and the likes. These were all young these are all young appointees under him, who at least served with some integrity.
Right.
And even after leaving office, we've not been able to make references to any iota of corrupt allegations against any of them. So it's commendable. We have the track record when it comes to the youth, especially in the National Democratic Congress. So we are only hoping that those who are given the opportunity now to serve will emulate that good example from their senior ones in the system now. You see, their conduct in office will determine whether a future president would have that confidence in the youth or not. So it is a golden opportunity that they should take seriously and keep the doors open for many other young people, depending on how they conduct themselves there. But you see, my only concern, Johnny,
yes, sir,
has to do with how many of them have been trusted into office.
Okay.
I have a problem with it.
Why do you have a problem with it?
I think a chunk of them haven't had the opportunity of working in the civil service or the public service, if you like.
That's correct.
So they are coming either from the private sector. The culture there is quite different.
That's right.
One would have expected some national security training even before they assume offices.
I see.
To understand the inner workings of this
how things are done there.
How things are done there. That is why you get, especially when it comes to the appointment of the CEOs, that's why you see civil servants in the various departments printing big banners, welcoming them. An opportunity to trap them, because they know they are the politicians. So before you realize, they are putting things on your decks to sign, to say thank you for those who accompanied you to the place, your first day at work.
The banner,
they have started
you see the banner is a trap.
Yes. Oh, but of course, most of them are trapped. They are lobbying techniques. You don't know that they are lobbying techniques. Because who has asked them to print any ban? And that is the reason why I am concerned.
Is it now an offense to welcome your minister?
But was it done in the past?
We are welcoming you.
So for me, I think that is what they have to look out for. So I would have expected some sort of training. Let them understand how civil servants, especially in this country, they work, and the possible traps that one could be getting into, and how to be careful upon assumption of office.
Great.
Sometimes even the dressing matters, but people don't know that.
Right.
Suddenly, people, when you begin wearing expensive brands, the country may not easily pick it up, especially if you are somebody who appears on TV. But our embassies, that is when they begin to make a government unpopular. They fund the process because they see you wearing a $10,000 or $20,000 watch that you used not to wear when you were in opposition on national television, even in their countries that they don't get to buy outright cash. So they begin to appreciate that, look, this government is also going on the wavelength of corruption.
Gentlemen, so you're telling them to be careful?
They must be careful because our future is at stake. I'm a young person.
I hear you.
I don't want them to misuse that opportunity so that in the future I may be denied a similar opportunity.
It's actually not a bargain.
Great. I hear you. Dr. Bernard Tutubuahin is a political strategist. Thank you very much, Doc. And Hamza Suhini Shaib is a private legal practitioner, a member of the NDC's National Communications team. Gentlemen, thank you for spending your morning here with us. Christine Yale is in Parliament. Chris, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Johnny.
What's happening in Parliament? Who's appearing before the committee today?
All right, Johnny. So we know that today about 4 ministers are billed to appear before the appointment committee for their vetting. And so today, out of the 4, we know that 3 who are deputy ministers, and then there is 1 who is a minister of state. And so by way of running you through the names that we have here, we know that today Lydia Lamisi Akamvariba is a minister of state public sector reforms. She would be the first to appear before the appointment committee for her vetting. After her, subsequently, we are going to have Thomas Ampemianko, who is a deputy minister designate for the Ministry of Finance. He will come. After him, we also have Ebenezer Oklete Telabi, who is the deputy minister for the Ministry of Interior. And then finally for today, we would have Samson Ahi, who is the deputy minister, Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. And so these are the 4 ministers, or 3 ministers, deputy ministers, and then 1 minister of state who are expected to appear before the appointment committee.
Chris, I thank you very much. Now, if you look into the chamber now, the committee members, in fact, the committee room, have they turned up yet? Are you seeing them coming in their numbers?
No, not yet. It is just about now that I see few of them walking in. A few of the members are just now walking in. I've seen the deputy minority leader Patricia Piaget walk in, as well as members on the majority side. That MP who always wishes them luck and then says bye-bye on top of it. Ladi Ayamba, he's also walked in. I've just seen Frank Anodompre walk in, as well as the deputy majority leader, the person of the deputy majority leader is here as well. The name is just eluding me, but I've also seen the minority leader, Alexander Afreno walking just now. And so it just looks like the committee is taking form right now with the members in. I'm yet to see the chairperson himself, but I can also confirm to you that security is very tight here. Even with the media, we would have to get accreditation before we enter. So it is just a selected media,
Chris, tell me, have the microphones been replaced? The broken microphones, the broken tables, have they been replaced?
Exactly. They've all been fixed.
Even before the MPs who broke them were surcharged?
No, we are still waiting for that report from the committee that investigated it, and then to also see the other sanctions that the Speaker or the House would profess against those who are found culpable. But we know that those who were suspended were reinstated, for instance. So we look forward to how the sanctions are going to be and the ramifications thereof. But the tables are fixed. the microphones are in.
Thank you very much, Chris Yali. We're grateful for your time. That's our man, Chris Yali from Parliament. And let's quickly do birthdays and wrap up. Happy If today is your birthday, happy birthday to you. You share the special birthday with Kobe Jumbo of Unya Kasahari. More blessings and favor from God to you. Kobe Jumbo, today is your birthday. Happy birthday to you. You also share the birthday with amazing Della Michelle, one-time employee here at Media General. Today is Della's birthday. Happy birthday, more blessings and cheers. And also to Mrs. Linda Amasa Atram. Mrs. Linda Amasa Atram, this is from your husband, lawyer Amasa Atram, and the entire family. They wish you a happy birthday. To the ace designer, Emmanuel Kelvin Quay, Mr. Kels GH. That's what he says. He says the ace designer is a young man, but he says it's ace. Okay, we're here. Happy birthday to him. To say we misuse words, but it's fine. My name is Johnny Hughes. I've been here with 62 Don Ulo, also with DJ Abiam, Frederick Kozo Tiani, and with Princess and Juan Mamia and Della and Bob Franklin and all of our guys and Noble Crosby. And we'll see you tomorrow when we come back for another round of a good breakfast show. And you know, Harley guys here, but like Felix Bell, I am born to win.